Hey there, Steelers Nation. The offseason is in full swing, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are working hard to fine-tune their roster for the 2025 season. We all know this team is constantly striving to get better, and that means making bold moves to bring in top talent. But before we dive into today's major story, do me a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you love Steelers content. It really helps us out and keeps you updated on everything happening with the black and gold. All right, let's get into it. The Steelers' receiving corps desperately needs an upgrade after a disappointing 2024 season. Outside of George Pickens, there wasn't much production from the wide receiver room. In fairness, GM Omar Khan did attempt to land star receivers, Brandon Ayuk and Davante Adams last year, but those moves didn't materialize. Now, Pittsburgh has another chance to make a big splash by trading for a dynamic playmaker, Debo Samuel. Samuel recently revealed in an interview with ESPN's Adam Schefter that he requested a trade from the San Francisco 49ers. The Niners have agreed to honor that request, making him one of the most intriguing names on the trade market. It was a hard conversation to have with Kyle Shanahan because of the relationship that we have, Samuel said. But I have to do what's best for my future. I'm incredibly thankful for the 49ers, but now I think it's best that I find a new team. As soon as news broke, media analysts and fans alike pointed to the Steelers as a perfect fit for the 28-year-old wideout. Tyler Brook from the 33rd team was one of the first to suggest that Pittsburgh should strongly consider making a move for Samuel. The Steelers may be unsure of their plans for the quarterback position next season, but having two weapons like Pickens and Samuel could make it easier to lure a free agent quarterback to Pittsburgh, Brook wrote. Samuel is coming off one of his worst seasons statistically, but let's be real, it was a rough year for the 49ers overall. A change of scenery could do him wonders, and even a slightly diminished version of Debo would be a massive improvement for the Steelers. Let's not forget what he brings to the table. He's a dynamic, do-it-all receiver who can line up anywhere on the field. He's physical, explosive, and a nightmare for defenders after the catch. Pairing him with Pickens would instantly give Pittsburgh one of the most dangerous 1-2 punches at wide receiver in the NFL. Here's the good news. Samuel likely won't cost a first-round pick. The Steelers might be able to acquire him for a mid-round selection, maybe even as low as a fifth-rounder. Plus, Samuel is in the final year of his deal, so there's no long-term commitment unless Pittsburgh chooses to extend him. This trade makes a ton of sense. The Steelers could bring in a veteran like Samuel as a bridge option while also drafting a young wideout in April's NFL draft to develop alongside him and Pickens. It's the perfect blend of short-term and long-term roster building. While Pittsburgh focuses on adding talent, they also stand to gain from losing a few players in free agency. The NFL's compensatory pick system is a sneaky way for smart teams to stockpile additional draft capital. Teams that lose more free agents than they sign receive compensatory picks in the following year's draft, and the Steelers have several pending free agents who could qualify. According to SpotTrack, Pittsburgh has 24 free agents heading into 2025. If they experience a net loss in free agency, they could be awarded compensatory picks for the 2026 NFL Draft. Players like Najee Harris and Dan Moore Jr. are two names to watch. If either leaves and signs a big contract elsewhere, Pittsburgh could be in line for an extra pick. From 2020 to 2024, the Steelers were awarded just 5 compensatory picks, including a third-rounder in 2020 for losing Le'Veon Bell and a fourth-rounder in 2021 for Javon Hargrave. However, they didn't receive any picks in 2023 or 2024 due to their approach of re-signing key players rather than letting them walk. With so many free agents in 2025, this could change. If Pittsburgh lets more players walk than they sign, they could secure valuable mid-round draft picks that would help them reload for the future. Pittsburgh's defense, which is the highest-paid unit in the NFL, crumbled during the final stretch of the 2024 season, leading to a disappointing 5-game losing streak. And when you're paying top dollar for a defense, you expect elite-level play. That brings us to a tough but necessary discussion. What's next for Minka Fitzpatrick? Fitzpatrick is one of the biggest names on this defense, but the reality is his production hasn't justified his massive contract. We're talking about a guy who carries a cap hit of over $22 million in 2025. While he has been a reliable presence in the secondary, Steelers fans have noticed a drop-off in his signature splash plays. He's still a solid player, but let's be real. When was the last time we saw a game-changing pick six from Minka? Those highlight reel plays that once made him a household name have become rare. And if a guy is just preventing deep shots and keeping plays in front of him, is he worth one of the biggest safety contracts in the league? According to a recent report from The Athletic, analyst Derek Klassen suggests that the Steelers might be considering moving on from Fitzpatrick. Here's what he had to say. Part of the Steelers' equation in years past counted on Minka Fitzpatrick's ability to roam the middle of the field and generate plays out of thin air. But Fitzpatrick is coming off the worst year of his career. It'd be both unlikely and difficult for the Steelers to move on from Fitzpatrick, but it's probably a conversation they're having. Now, let's be fair. Just because Fitzpatrick's stats don't pop off the page doesn't mean he's not valuable. Opposing quarterbacks still respect him, and he forces them to adjust their game plan. He finished the 2024 season with 96 tackles, 4 passes defensed, a forced fumble, and just 1 interception. Those aren't bad numbers, but they aren't elite either, especially for the price tag he carries. This is the big question. If the Steelers do decide to move on, it won't be easy. Fitzpatrick is under contract through the 2026 season, and at 28 years old, he still has a lot left in the tank. But if Pittsburgh finds a trade partner willing to take on his contract, the move could free up significant cap space. And let's be honest, his name still carries weight. He's a 3-time Pro Bowler, and even though his last couple of seasons weren't his best, teams would still be interested in acquiring him. If the Steelers could get a high draft pick or multiple assets in return, it might be worth considering. If Fitzpatrick were to leave, Pittsburgh would need to fill the gap at safety. They could look toward the draft or find a cheaper free agent option. And with this defense already featuring big contracts for T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith, Cam Hayward, and Patrick Queen, it might be necessary to redistribute some of that money. So, Steelers Nation, what do you think? Should Pittsburgh go all in and trade for Debo Samuel, or should they look elsewhere to bolster the receiving core? Personally, I think Samuel is the exact kind of player this offense needs. He brings toughness, versatility, and experience. Something the Steelers lacked in 2024. If the price is right, Omar Khan should absolutely pull the trigger on this deal. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you want to see Debo in black and gold next season? And while you're at it, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss out on Steelers news. Thanks for watching, and as always, here we go Steelers!